Sorry about the microphone jiggles there, but we are live and, things happen. We're just getting started here. And I tell you, when you are the everything, you have so much going on. I figured I'd do a live here and um, then I'm going to go and get my son, which is not too long from now, but I had a lot of things going on and it was just kind of like one thing after the other. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I got to do this. There are things that I need to talk about. And we'll just kind of move this. I was going to do a simultaneous broadcast where I had the Facebook going from my new iPhone. By the way, the iPhone 17, was it Max Plus or something like that, is outstanding. I really enjoy like the video aspect of it. So just want to make sure I'm not coming in too hot or anything like that, or too low. Let me do that a little bit. You never can tell. I get really I would say, I don't know. I'm just kind of like crazy about the sound in a way. Sound means a lot to me, but if I was to just broadcast this broadcast, God, there's so much to talk about. But if I was just to broadcast this broadcast and not have a decent microphone, the audio part of it would kind of be a shame. And that's the main part of this, is the actual audio part. Um, so the audio means a lot to me. And um, I've been spending a lot of time working with it, but I have to look into it. But I wasn't able, because I could do X. I probably talked about this a lot, but there's more to it. I've done like X. I can like, old Twitter, not a problem. I can use my microphone. I can use the sound card. We're good. And I is using my computer. It's not going to sound good. I mean, it does if you're close, but then if you move around or anything, it's like you're not really getting it. And the same thing with like the iPhone, even the newest iPhone, if you have it like you're here, you can get some really good audio. But if you move around and you have the iPhone here and you're getting a nice shot, now the audio is not going to be good. So you can wear one. The one I had it depends. I'm kind of learning to work with it or whatever, you know. Um, what I really wanted to do was be able to play my new drum machine, my Akai MPC 1 Plus. And the MPC sample just came out, which is a more compact, simple version, about half the price of this model. And and that's really great. But I wanted to be able to just do that and to talk, and do shows like this. So for some reason, to do the internal like Facebook app, it doesn't allow me to use my computer and use this type of audio setup for some reason. But there's no problem here with YouTube. There's no problem with Twitter X, right? But Facebook there is. So I can broadcast live on Facebook, um, but not with the microphone. And or I don't think I can even do it on the computer, but I can do it on the phone. So I got some converters to output from either my mixer or my sound card here. Um, and we should be able to get audio then. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to get another sound card, right? Audio converter, um, audio interface for the phone, something that might be more designed just for the phone. And, see where that goes so that there is like, because I have a couple thousand, almost, yeah, almost like going on 3,000 people. Um, So it's a lot of people, and I know it's kind of tricky about how the algorithm works and everything. So you kind of have to work with it. Um, but uh, there's a lot of people, so I want to definitely do some broadcasting, and I'm pretty sure I'm okay if I'm like doing the music on the spot because I know there's like copyright things, and I kind of have to look into that, and I don't want to have any kind of issues with that kind of stuff. Just want to do things by the book so that I can do the things that I want to do. Um, excuse me. All right. So as I am going to keep an eye on time, um, and I'm not going to broadcast on Facebook today, but I did post it on there. So if people want to watch, they can come back and, it's live, but, it's also video too, which is being recorded. So, people can always come back and watch the show like a podcast in a sense, right? Um, I love the YouTube media. I think it's just really, really cool. And anyway, so I figured I'd do the show. That's going to come soon. We'll be doing that on Facebook, which is cool. It kind of gives me some practice now without so many people and everything. Um, so I'm going to get into doing something that I did in a little bit. That is, I'm learning this thing. Okay, so the MPC, if you go back in time, um, it's something I really wanted. They had the Akai sampler. I think it was the SP 2000, SP 1000. And that was a rack mount thing. My friend had one. You can lay out these sounds on a keyboard, and then you could use the sounds. I believe like a mini trigger, uh, and you could sequence sounds, add effects, etc. Um, but I believe you had to have more output devices, different like um, computer programs used to control your sounds, a controller, um, and then ultimately record your sounds as a song, and convert it into some kind of audio um, file, because the MIDI is just information, and but you would have these samples, and now you can trigger these samples, then record them, and then layer. But now you don't need that. Now with the MPC machines, or drum machine, people still call it a sampler. It's called the MPC 1. It's kind of like it's its own instrument, because it's your brain. It's like it it's amazing. um it's a dream come true. My complaint is that it's very complex, and I don't think that like there was somebody I was watching and they were saying that you can just make a beat out of this right away, and that is true. It's at the time it was one of the best machines out of the Akai family that was good for just going ahead and making a beat. Um, and then now they came out with the sample version, but for me, which is even the sample version is even more convenient. But for me, the Akai is very complex, and I think you have to spend a lot of time learning it. And here's why: because there are many different ways about viewing things, sequencing, um, or just going about a task in many different ways. Like you could get to one thing many different avenues to get there, and that can get a bit confusing because, but once you learn where you're going, it does have and a simplicity to it. Um, However, because of its complexity, the screen itself, I believe, would be better if there is a way to kind of view that. Like, I don't know if I don't think you can, but if I could like take the screen and like view it on something that's bigger, um, I think that would be better for me to work with, you know. Um, so I think that I'm also going to look into other more simplistic drum machines that just do that. Um, and I was also thinking about going into there's I think it's the SP something by Boss, and their sampler is really good for live performances and those types of things. Um, so I think I'm going to um, get into that as well because um, this way I can come up with the drum patterns and focus on that. But this, don't get me wrong, this is amazing. This is for me a dream come true. Um, my friend, as I was mentioning in the beginning, he had the sampler, and um, I remember him just creating so much amazing music through his. I mean, he was a really great. He still is a really good musician. He came from a great line of musicians as well. His dad played with very famous people, and when I was younger, we met in middle school. This is actually before the sampler. We would record in his basement, and his dad had a recording studio. And we were actually recording reel to reel, and we were messing around. My friend was actually messing around with reel to reel, and he played stuff backwards too, and would actually take the reels and of some of the stuff that we would do. And I remember even playing on um, a delay pedal, or it was a distortion pedal, and it was actually used by John Bon Jovi. And I was some kind of pedal. I don't remember exactly what the pedal was, but I remember it was he did because we were in New Jersey, and he um would I don't know exactly what the story was with him, but he was pretty much of a famous musician at some point. He was on albums and he played with a lot of people. And then, um, he had stuff that was somehow his or given to him through him or something like that. And it was just really neat. It was a really to have that exposure was like I guess I was kind of looking for it because I was playing guitar at this time, and I started playing guitar at a very early age, and um, I think I was probably like um, yeah, I was about 13, and I was in middle school, and I think we met because there was just groups of people that would kind of gather in the beginning before class, and they were all outside, and there was like a bell, and people would line up, and then they would go into the classrooms and stuff, and it was like clicky, but there were people, and the way that they presented themselves and dressed I went for, and I think that had a lot to do with skaters. And at the time, this is like the 90s because I graduated um, in the late 90s, and um, so it was kind of like early 90s here, and I just don't remember exactly when. And and I remember that there was something in the air. It was really big. Um, I think at this point there were raves. I think at this point there was like electronic music, and I necessarily weren't into that. I didn't really know what that was. I was at an early age into a band called Sonic Youth, and I think that was maybe my knowledge of bands or my like for music is kind of what helped connect me with other groups. And I had a Metallica T-shirt I would wear. So I mean, kind of thinking about it now, like having something like that is kind of good in school because it it shows like what you're into, and then maybe that would help you find other people who are into that. And um my friend, I'm going to leave his name out just for anonymity purposes and stuff. um uh he was really into a large eclectic amount of music, and really turned me on to just some amazing music. And I had a cousin. Again, I'm going to leave just for anonymity purposes. I'm going to leave out their names just to protect their identities, just in case I talk about anything that makes anybody feel uncomfortable. I don't want anyone to ever feel that way or put anybody down in any sense. So I just leave names out of the stories, but these are 100% real and not the fabrication of my imagination. Um, it sounds like that was some kind of like perhaps a lawyer script or something like that, but no, this is just Jeff here live in my studio. But anyway, going back to the 90s, which I think for fashion and music, and there was just a roar of um, and I mean that. It was just like screaming, like it was okay for um and in the 80s too, there was a lot of feminine qualities to men that were just okay. We're still maybe considered masculine, or just like being, it wasn't even maybe considered like that, like and I it's kind of interesting. I really wish I knew this guy's name, but he has a show, I believe, on TikTok, and he goes around and he videos people in New York. I really tend to like these. New York City is just really amazing, and I don't know. I mean, maybe I would think about moving there if the crime thing or the accessibility, um, to crime, I would just want to stay away from. Um, and I think sometimes maybe it brings out that in people, or the high pacedness is too much for the beat of life that we really should be on, as opposed to the beat of life that New York City puts you on. Um, but New York City, nonetheless, it's an amazing um, place, and I really like these videos where this guy, he go up to people, and um and it's really interesting, and I really like it that there is this vibe that he can give people, like this sense of trust. Like, that's really cool. Like, that there was one person that said, you're not going to like hurt me at all or something, or kill me or something crazy like that, because he goes up to people randomly, um and it's like, wow, I like the way you dress, you're like really cool, it's stylish. Can I go back to your place, and you can show me your wardrobe, your closet? And he does it, and it's really, really cool. And I there was like some really interesting things. There was actually one where he took it seemed like he was a younger kid, um and he was, I guess, really into, he was nostalgic for like a older period in time, and we just had all these suits and top hats, and um really interesting. And I mean, there was people that, and I've seen other shows that they have just really amazing, like, apartments and stuff in New York City, like, just turn them into like wonderlands, like, like you're really looking into somebody's mind, and I really, really like those kind of shows. Um, but anyway, New York City was, I mean, it was a treat to go there. I went to some clubs there, like the Tunnel, and I went to the Limelight before. I went to when it was called something else. Um, and God, I've been to, what's the other one? Limelight, Tunnel. Oh, I can't think of the other one. But I've been to a few, like the Concrete Jungle parties. They kind of hopped around at a few different clubs, and I did a little bit of that. I did a little bit of promoting for them, like nothing big, but just kind of having like a little guest list and stuff. And I did some stuff on the radio announcing for them. I would talk to like people in clubs and see if I could announce their stuff. And I don't know. At first, it was cool. They said that you could, flaunt yourself like that, so I did, and then it was considered not cool, and you weren't supposed to do that. And I didn't do that anymore, and that was kind of a bummer. But the fashion, though, I remember New York City. I remember Liquid Sky Design too was another great one. God, I'm thinking I would really like to try to get some of those t-shirts if I could, the Liquid Sky Design t-shirts. Um, and under that was like the same great mind of DJ Soul Slinger. And he did the jungle. He was kind of like one of the jungle music, drum and bass, one of the kind of, I think, pioneer and bringing that sound into the city, um, and having the types of jungle parties um, that would promote that jungle music, drum and bass, electronic music, and just and then from there were other amazing subgenres that kind of just they fell from there and gave birth to like ambient music, which is like hip hop, but or like rap music without instrumental music. It's like rap instrumental music without any lyrics, really, maybe some sparse lyrics here and there, um, but down tempo, maybe a bit dark, and ambient, but ambient. And there's a lot of subgenres, and some people, they think that kind of stuff is corny, but I can tell you that I don't think that's corny because you need some way for people to find music. And when we had to dig for music back in the day, like if I was an artist, I would want someone to find my music. So if they were into a certain type of music, I would want to be there for them to find it. Like if I'm a DJ and I'm looking for a certain type of beat, then, even though you're like, well, I don't want my music to be classified as house music, but I know that there are certain standards within house music that I'm looking for as a DJ. And if you want to sell your music, then now just categorizing that as whatever house music, that now, that person can find that. But if they're looking for drum and bass and you're drum and bass and you're in the wrong category, that they're not going to want to listen to you. So by having that, it allows us to classify things. So that's why I think it is important, and subgenres do help. Like we could all be under the branch of electronic music, but we need to categorize those by beat because beats are important for a DJ because those are the tools that we use. um and if I'm connecting beats together, I don't want something that's obviously not going to work. Like I wouldn't want what's called like intelligent music, or something that's really cut up, and I'm supposed to be playing music at a house party because that's the vibe that the promoters are creating. And but I go and play something else that's not cool, right? Unless I'm paid to do that. So it is important to know. We know by listening, but there are reasons, many reasons, several reasons why music is categorized. And I worked in music stores when we didn't have the accessibility that we have today. We're able to just download so much music at your ease. And I worked in um, CD stores mostly. We had a little bit of vinyl, but vinyl was popular then. And as a DJ, I was actually buying vinyl and using vinyl to mix, and kind of late on the bandwagon, but I eventually went to CDs, and then I went into the controllers. And I tried Serato at the time. I didn't like it. It just wasn't for me. And then I tried Serato. I tried Serato both using like vinyl, which I'm actually thinking about redoing that and giving that another whirl. And I tried the encoded CDs on the CDJ, and I wasn't really kind of digging that either. Um, but I really dug the CDJ 1000s. Like those turntables today were one of my favorites to mix on. I love vinyl. I really want to get back into it. Vinyl is a lot harder because you're working more with the limitations of just the tracks themselves, unless you have the ability to change that more, like in when you're working with like Tractor, or you're working with the programs like Serato. But within the computer, then maybe you can take loops and cut them up that way and stuff like that. And that I need to venture off more into. But what I spent a lot of time with in the beginning, I might have used like the sense of being a turntablist. But to me, I used it more in the abstract sense. And the when I'm saying abstract is like my art teacher told me when I was in high school that when it's probably easier when you're learning to draw things to think more in an abstract sense than in like realism and stuff because that is harder. So work with abstract, then because you know, and now let's work maybe with shapes. Let's work with shapes. But to start out, like just try forming things and doing things as to kind of explore the instrument. You do abstract first, and it's kind of cool because you don't have those limitations really in the beginning. And I think it's cool to kind of capture that when you first start a new instrument. So which I'm going to be doing here um, with the MPC. Now I think because of my time constraint, I might not actually really get to that other than a little bit I'm going to play in just a bit. I also want to make sure that when the levels are going to be all good, so I'm going to play a bit of my song here. But it's going to take time for me to kind of get into this instrument itself. It's a very like I was saying in the beginning there, it's a very, very um complex instrument. And somebody going by there in a little motorcycle thing like that. It's a very complicated, brilliant instrument, but it has a lot of like flexibility and you could do a lot of crazy things here. I'm kind of going off on a tangent. Um, but I'm always like, I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna bring it back. But when I sometimes I just get too far out there and I don't bring it back. It gets where I call it's lost. I'm lost, right? I'm lost. Um, but I really was at the point of New York City fashion, and seeing this guy. Um, and I did kind of go off on a tangent there, but God, there's just so much to talk about. Um, what I think my ultimate point with the whole New York fashion thing was, which is really cool, and I can go on and on about that music, the stuff that I did during those time periods, the music that I heard, the events that I went to. Um, I did a lot, and some of this podcast, some of this YouTube show is it's going to be about my adventures too. I'd like to talk about, and it's also going to be about music and playing music and stuff like that too. I'm also going to have documentaries and everything, but there's just so much that I want to get to. But anyway, my whole point of the um, New York City is like that it connects with the fashion, the music. They're very intertwined. Um, and like it almost would be a benefit. Like I don't know if I could live there, but like spend time there. Like if I could spend like a month there, and that doesn't mean like, and this is going to get to my point here, in isolation, but spending time like it'd be cool if I could get my fiance and my son, and we can all go there and like live there for a couple months, but like meet people. And I think that's easy. Like I always felt like I could just talk to people in New York, and I was pretty decent at that. Whereas like people here might kind of look at you as you're weird and everything, but when you're in New York, they're just like, okay, like you're, you know, um, like you could just find somebody, and there's bad people too, which you might be able to find something you don't really need or something, but you could find probably some great people too. But I think I could really vibe off of that and really come up with some creative stuff. And I think that when I was seeing these styles of the people, they just inspired me. And it's just like this guy is just walking down the street, and there's just an array of like eclectic, amazing people. Like there's one guy, he was just a lawyer and he just dresses amazing. Like, but the other side is like there is this like togetherness in that sense in New York City where you go into a cafe and you're kind of like enclosed and you're able to talk. And I remember it was during Christmas and I went there this past Christmas, and I got too claustrophobic and I just wanted to kind of get out of the city. And why am I getting these? And it felt like it was maybe a little too much. Um, and yeah, but in but then like individuality, but then it comes together and that's good. Um, but I think sometimes there's this other vibe too, where there's too much of this individuality of people, and it's better when people come together. And um, and I really I don't know. I mean, I try to like wherever I am get inspiration, but there are ways where you can kind of put yourself in a situation to get even more inspiration for what you need and what you want to create. And I think like also Philadelphia too. But I want to do both maybe. I think that would be cool. I think I should talk to her about that. See where things go. Um because that would be cool too. That would be even cool to document that. Like you see me, I'm here, I'm in the city, and we could do live shows too, but we could also do like some docs, some documentaries or whatever of me kind of in the city and how the music expires exp- how the music inspires me. And I think I need to get some water because my mouth why is my phone blowing up here? There's somebody, I got this new phone and I keep getting this these text messages for this guy. Again, I'm going to leave this person anonymous for anonymity purposes, right? Out of respect to them and whatever they got going on. And they keep texting me. And I just got this number and I told them this is not this person. I called them. I'm not going to say what they are, but it's like an official organization. So it says an authority organization, um, perhaps a government organization, but I don't know. It's getting weird now because now they're sending me text messages. Their automated thing keeps coming on. I've talked to somebody. I said I'm not this person. I told somebody I'm not this person. And the calls and the text messages and everything, and they're not stopping. So now I'm getting this person saying I'm so and so, and I don't know. It again looks kind of weird and automatic, but I'm gonna just be like, I'm not this person. Like I just got this number. Like I don't know what else to tell them. Like I'm sorry they can't find this person, but you're not gonna find them here because I don't know the person, and the phone company gave me this number, and that came from my fiance. She's the one that set that stuff up. So I don't know what's going on. You're wasting your time and resources. Like, really? Well, it's just so weird. Um, all right, I am getting pressed for time. I can go on and on and on and on and on, and I want to make sure I cover the basis of everything. So I think I'm gonna try to don't quote me on it, but I'm gonna try to go live tonight to play, maybe do some more stuff. But I think today what we're gonna do is just play the loop, not really go over it too much, um, and that's probably it. Um, so I'm gonna just do that now, I guess. All right. Yeah, I gotta work on the jiggly thing here to get that going. Let me see. I'm really about to. I mean, there. What is this? So it does say you can report spam. Yeah, I'm gonna write stop. I don't know if that's gonna stop it, but I wrote it, and I guess I can. It said I can like report spam or something like that. Anyway, um, yeah. All right. Let's see if I can do this now. Oop, that could have been bad. Oh, there it is. All right, then. Sorry about that little awkward silence or whatever. Um, so I have it queued up here, and it is just a loop, but it's actually a 8-bar loop, and it is unfinished. And what I'd like to do tonight, as long as the audio is well and everything, is to add to it and kind of go over what I'm doing and kind of show you some of the processes that it took to get to where I was to create this loop that's becoming a masterpiece in my opinion. Um, so let's just go ahead and play that, and hopefully the audio is going to be okay. So you kind of get the idea there. I'm probably a little too loud there. Let's turn that down a bit. But yeah, that's that. And I'm going to kind of go over and show you some of the arpeggiators that I worked with there. They really, I hope I'm not coming in too hot there. They really allowed me to do some cool sounds, but it sounded like an old like arcade kind of game. So it was really neat. Um, so I think that's pretty much it. But I wanted to thank God. Thank you for being here for me. Um, and I want to wish everybody, God bless everybody, and that if we could put our hearts together, love one another, this hatred and selfishness, I really think that God would open up the doors of heaven. Like there is something greater than what we see here on earth. And I was telling somebody this earlier today. Whether you believe in God or not, which I do, and whether you believe in Jesus or not, which I do, and whether you believe that God, Jesus is in your heart, and the Holy Trinity is in your heart, that Jesus the man existed. And the guy Kumo, the news reporter, did a really great on News Nation, a really great special show about Jesus and the resurrection of God. Did he come back to life for real? But I want to say is whether that's true or not, which I believe it is, because for one, they tried to show evidence against it and then evidence for it, and it seemed like there was more evidence definitely for it than there was against it. Um, and the questions of disproving would have to be just as almost. It almost seemed like disproving it seemed far fetched. Like it was when you look at it from a bird's eye view, and you're just like, okay, well, how is that according to physics physically possible? So besides from that, which is a big thing, because we're saying now that the supernatural is possible. But if you look at the timing and coming back and having person testimony touching his wounds, he was looking also at the news reporter Kumo at the um, location it was at too, had a lot to do with it. So there was something regarding the location of Jesus and the burial. Um, so we could get more into those kind of details, but my point is the physicality is that the person existed and he was willing to die for your sins, which is what person would be willing to do that? And that is beautiful. That is poetic. That is how almost we all should be. And I think that we're losing touch in that, right? Um, if if there was, right, if say there's not a creator, just the symbolism of the man that was to be perfect, that was people believed that he was doing miracles. So if he wasn't, he would have to be deceiving people. And he didn't not people were very skeptical back then. And all he had to do was say no. And I'm not God, or and they would have let him live. But he decided that I'm gonna do this and I'm going to come back. And supposedly they say he did. And if there was a God too, right? Why would, like, if I was going to trust somebody's faith, isn't it like blind faith? Like, to show love without, like, well, I know that if I don't love you, then I'm just, I'm doing it out of fakeness. Like, if, like, I'm a millionaire and I have friends then that aren't, then they might want to, like, have my money and everything. And that's why, like, a lot of millionaires hang out with millionaires, right? Um, I don't know, like, so if I'm like a millionaire and I'm wealthy, what's a good point here? Um, I don't know. I'm getting kind of tongue tied here. The weather's kind of wicked too, and I have the glasses on because I have a lot of light in here, and it looks cool. So, but it protects me so much. Like, if I take these off, it's like, like crazy in here. Um, but yeah, it's like, okay, so if I was wealthy, everybody would just they would the friendship wouldn't be real, right? It's hard to judge if the friendship is real or not. So, how would God, if there's a God, believe that people are true if they're knowing that, he is 100% real, right? So that ties a lot into that, right? And then it makes me think, okay, well, then if that's not true, then, I mean, again, I was telling this person that, like, you look at the universe and you're special either way. Whether you are, you look at our animals alone, but you look at the universe, there's nothing. Supposedly, we don't see anything out there. There could be aliens, but they would be very far away if they are here. And they're doing a really good job at hiding, right? Unless they live somewhere within our ocean, and then perhaps they, like the movie Luca, they transform somehow when they come to land, which is very possible. We could have something like that, or they just disguise themselves and we wouldn't know about it. That could definitely be possible, because if they're supposedly smarter than us, then it would be like us observing, other animal species, right? I believe there's a theory for that. So, and you're special. So if you're just that, we don't see anything out there, and all the animals here, we are the only ones that really, like, do such amazing things. Like, nothing else does what we do, and communicate like we communicate, and create like we create. So it's just, that makes you special alone, right? We're very special in that sense. So, um, but I get confused too, because I don't know for sure, and I get sad about this sometimes late at night. Um, because I love life and I don't want to die. Um, and I really hope, and there's so much more. And I look at like everything, but you know, like it just it's amazing that this man did that, and it makes sense. Like what would we do? Like if there was our like the heavens and there there's angels or these whatever you want to call them. There's these beings and like there's like a we have a program like to do good. Like the animals are they're in survival and stuff and like evolution it's there and it happens and everything evolves. I mean that's just a natural flow of life, but to evolve that much and that differently, like I get we were more like a monkey and then like, but why do we keep evolving? Like why aren't other things evolving at that rate? Like birds of their DNA is like the dinosaurs, so they're even older than us, so they should be like way more advanced than us, and they're not. So like, what's going on? Right? It's really weird, really, really, really weird. You know, and then turtles and stuff. Like they should be. If that's how we're going to look at evolution, then why aren't turtles more advanced than us? They don't know. Or maybe a small group of people have this knowledge that if it was to get out there, it would be so devastating to us because now it's going to put a hold into our religion because religions, if you look for time, they were actually used to control people, right? I mean, if you put fear into people, you can control them. So it's possible, right? It's scary. And then there's a question of if you die, nobody has seen the soul risen, right? And then that would make sense too. If there was something more that we can't see it when we go out into outer space, right? We just see the materials of things. But then there could be like, we don't see certain colors, right? We don't see certain rays of light, but we can't measure anything. So if we tried, I mean, maybe we would try different infrared and look at when a person passes and look at different filters, look at different rays of light. I mean, there was an experiment done, but it's sad because we all have this strong will to live, and I don't want to die. Um, you know, and I want to go on and but it doesn't matter what I want, right? There's nothing I can do. Um, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But if it just the fact that he was like his knowledge of the Bible, his the miracles he performed, if they were to send a a miracle to us like or a supreme being, like that's what freaking people would do. They would freaking nail him to a cross. I mean, physically then, I mean now like, Think about that. What would we do? Are we prepared for that? Do we have a plan for that? If does the government have a plan for that? If the supreme being comes, is there a plan for that? I mean, we're so distracted every day. We're so distracted, and sometimes I think that it's not that they're just necessarily distracting us from what's going on. They're distracting us from a conclusion of the truth. Like, the truth is, they believe, catastrophic at this point. That scenarios have just been um played out, and what would happen, you know? Um but is it because, they ultimately don't know? Or, like, we are of the earth, right? I mean, we are our materials, and then we die and go back into the earth, right? So where is this soul at, this energy? How, and if the energy is released, like, and the body is just the cell, like, where are the souls? Some people believe in reincarnation, but that's where I just don't understand. That's the part where I'm gonna probably be talking about this throughout my shows, and maybe have guests and doing research. But my grandmom passing away was devastating, and my brother has said things about her visiting him, and, like, I want to know, like, and I saw something when I was younger, supposedly some kind of spirit, and then I saw these other things with other people in the woods, these orb things that looked like eyes moving. Could have been somebody playing a prank on us. Could have been real. I don't know. I want to know. And a lot of these, like, documentaries you watch about, say, UFOs, or, you know, they're all unconclusive. You're not getting it's not like 1 + 1 = 2, right? It's not just a simple equation, and we want to answer the answer just is more questions. And people, they spend their whole lives just researching because they want to know it. And I know, and it's like a catch 22. Well, should you just go out there and just enjoy your life, you know? Um because, that's it. And then maybe that's the thing too, is what if that's just it? What would all these people do? Because if that's just it, you might as well do this and this and this and this. I mean, everybody has a different philosophy, and that philosophy can be really, really harmful and scary towards other people. But who gives a group of people the right over others to say, okay, we are better than you and we can control you? You know, People should just know better. I mean, that really starts in the household, with just kind of having manners. I mean, starts with manners, and manners add to bigger things, your interactions with people, and then the vibe that it puts out there. And, it's just, we, that's how, collectively, like, we need to honor each other. Like, when you see someone like that guy, I really wish I knew his name, but goes around in New York, and he's like, "You're beautiful. Like, take me back to your apartment. I want to look." Like, it's so cool because it's showing people that it can be done, and it's also, you got to watch out for yourself. You don't want to be complacent, but I mean, my God, there's a lot of danger in New York City, but there's a lot of beauty too. And just to see someone like, hey, let's, talk about art, and we can accomplish so much if we do it together. We do things together, we can do amazing things. So thank God. I want to thank my family for everything. And thank you for tuning in. And I should have more this evening. We'll probably break apart that song and, um, some of the things that I did. So thank you for tuning in to this afternoon with Jeff Arico. You can actually go to my website, www.jeffarico.com, which is JEFFARICO.com. JeffArico.com. And I'm wearing a hat here that, and no sponsor whatsoever. I don't know, from Rowan University, and my son went there. The Fossil Park and Museum. My son went there and he had a ball. I really wish I could have went, but I was like uber sick. I woke up feeling I was going, and I felt sick, and then like I just couldn't do it. So I rested a bit. I feel a lot better today. I think like sometimes on Sundays because I like go all week, and he was off all week. He was off, and he's got a lot of energy. So, but he loves the museums, and that's why I couldn't go. So they got me this hat, which I absolutely love. Feels great. I like the color too. He picked out the color. And this was the shirt that I was going to wear. The fatherhood shirt. It's a walk in the park. Wink, wink. It looks like a T-Rex with the little hands. And then they got me one more thing. So let me go. Oh, this is going to die. Hold on before this dies on us. I didn't know that. They got me this. Really cool mug. All right, guys. Be well. Peace. Thanks for tuning in. And try to tune in tonight.